Hello, everybody, and welcome to Session 4, Your Life as a Valued Context. What kind of caregiver do you want to be? When you think of that role of caregiving or parenting or working with your child, what are those things that you find most important? So our session topics today are going to include goals versus values and why these are different. Goals have a specific ending point, but values keep guiding you over time. There's the FACT matrix, which is a tool that helps see what's working for you and your child and what's not working. And then there's identifying your values, so really discovering truly what matters to you as a person and as a caregiver. So what are goals? They're really actionable steps that have a beginning and an end to it. It's very discrete. There's a start, there's a finish. But once you reach them, what happens then? Goals are things on your to-do list. It could be something like, I want my child to sleep through the night. I want to find a good school. I have to get them dinner at a particular time every day. They have a finish line. And once you cross it, you might potentially need a new one. So looking at this goal here, thinking, I want my child to use words instead of screaming by June. Now, if we think of the previous sessions, looking at the antecedent behavior consequences, why is your child screaming in the first place? Are they distressed? What are they communicating to you? And are words the right replacement? Are these spoken words, written words? Are they using a device? And so on. But even as we're talking about these things, it has a particular starting point. Child is screaming, and it has an end point. You want your child to use a different mode of communication that helps them feel like they're more comfortable, and you want this done by June. But one of the problems with only having goals is once you reach it, where do you go? There's always a next step, and it can feel never ending. Once one goal is done, it might start another goal and another one and another one, and you might feel like if you don't have a particular goal in place or you're not working towards something, that could be really stressful. How are we operating our lives without these particular goals? So one way to think about this then are values. And these are overarching themes in your life. So you never really finish a value, you live it. So values aren't things that you check off. They're the kind of person you want to be or the kind of situation you find important. So being a patient caregiver, showing up for my family. You don't finish being patient, you practice every day. You don't show up once and then you're fine. You practice this every single day. So some examples of values might be being a good person, supporting my family, protecting my children, staying honest, showing patience, and being present. Now, in each of these, there might be individual goals that fit underneath this, and we'll kind of talk about how goals fit within values. But the value itself is looking at your life as a whole. Generally, are you what you feel like are a good person? Are you staying honest most of the time, knowing that there has to be flexibility? Sometimes you might not have to be honest in the right context. Maybe you're not always present because you can't be. You have a million things on your mind. But what we're really trying to look at is generally, are you moving in that direction of what you find important? So if we're thinking of goals then, well, I want you to think about your life as a book. The values are the titles. That's the theme. It's the whole story. It might never change, but it could change over time depending on how you want to work that and how you change. And goals kind of fit underneath that. They're chapters. They have a beginning, they have an end, but they serve in the same story. So your goals match with what your values are. So this could be something like, if you're a good person, well, what does that mean to you? You want to help people when you see them having a hard time. Maybe you are there for folks when they ask you to be there, right? There's discrete beginning and ends to each of those pieces, and those could be goals. I want to be there more for my friends. What does that look like? Excellent. You hit those things, but how does that fit within the context of your life? Oh, being there more for my friends is being a good person, at least is how I define it. So one type of tool that we like to use for something like this is something called the FACT matrix. It's a tool to see what's happening in your life right now. And we look at this from what's not working, public behaviors, what are you seeing, private events, what's not working here, to more workable. What are those private events, thoughts, and feelings, and what kind of behaviors are we doing as a result of that? And those are their committed actions. So not working might be what I'm doing that isn't helping. The outward behaviors that aren't reducing your child's difficult behaviors, yelling, shutting down, giving in, right? What's yours, right? And when you say reducing your child's difficult behaviors, it's really trying to help your child find what's distressing And how do you create an environment where they feel safer and they feel like they don't have to engage in that particular behavior? So that's the public behaviors. The private behaviors is what you're thinking that isn't helping. You might have intrusive thoughts like, I'm a bad caregiver, nothing I do works. Are these thoughts coming before unhelpful behaviors, and so on? Now we're moving to the bottom right. What do I think instead? This is where your values hit. What thoughts or self-talk could keep you in line with your values? What would you as the caregiver do, and what do you want, right? Pick a thought. And then you're moving towards a more workable solution at the end. What can I do instead? What's the next tiny actionable step that I can take towards my values? And what's one thing I can do today that's in line with who I want to be? So essentially what you're doing is starting with overtly what people can see, what my behaviors are. This is what I am doing now. This is something I can track, right? Private events, what are my reactions to those particular situations? Then your private events for values. What should I be doing? Why do I think these two things are difficult for me? How am I reacting to that? What should I be thinking instead? And then here's your committed actions is this top right quarter. It's more workable. It's part of public behaviors and so on. So this is just a tool that can help you through this. And what I would like you to do is pause the video and do something like this for you. There's a link for this particular activity. Start from this top left corner. Write down what you're doing that isn't helping, then move down to what you're thinking that isn't helping, move to what you could think instead based on the values, and then what you can do. What are the actions that you're taking based on your values there? So remember in session 1, we talked about what kind of caregiver do you want to be? And that question wasn't just an icebreaker. It was a start of your journey towards finding your particular values. So for this particular week, I want you to think about what are things that you can do to find what's important to you, and what are things that you can do that's important to your child as well. Both of you may hold values, and some of them might be similar, something that we can look at together. Maybe you love playing and love being, silly and goofy, and your child might like that too, and that's a way that you can connect. So we can help find the things that you find important and the things your child finds important. You can find some common ground and really understand each other a little bit better. So today we briefly talked about goals having a finish line, and values are the direction you're walking towards. We use the metaphor of your life as a book. Values are the title, goals are the chapters. We looked at a tool that can help you work through some of the things that are working versus not working. And then we talked a little bit about what we're doing next. So again, start noticing what matters most to you and what matters most to your child, and we'll build goals from that in our next session. Again, goals end. They have a discrete beginning and end to it. Values guide. Have the goals fit under the values of the things that you find important